Have you ever had a moment that was supposed to be your shining day, the one you dreamed about for years, only to have it completely destroyed by someone you trusted with your whole heart? I'm talking about a betrayal so raw, so personal, that it left me shaking with anger and heartbreak on what should have been one of the happiest days of my life. That's exactly what happened to me when my older sister, the person I looked up to for years, sabotaged my high school graduation out of pure, bitter jealousy, turning a milestone into a memory that still stings like an open wound. This isn't just a story about a ruined day. It's a deep, emotional dive into family bonds, hidden resentments, and the fight to reclaim a moment that was stolen from me. I'm going to walk you through every gut-wrenching detail. The build-up to my big day, the shocking moment everything fell apart, and the unexpected way I turned it around to make it unforgettable, even if it came at a cost. Stick with me through this roller coaster of a story because I'm still wrestling with the fallout, and I need your help to figure out if I've made the right choices, or if I've let this betrayal change me forever. Let's dive in. My name's Ethan, and I'm 24 years old now, living in a small, artsy apartment in Asheville, North Carolina, a quirky mountain town nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains where the air always smells faintly of pine and the streets buzz with street musicians and craft breweries. Asheville's a place of creativity and grit, with its winding roads, vibrant murals, and the misty peaks of Mount Pisgah looming in the distance. A fitting backdrop for someone like me, a budding photographer trying to capture the beauty and pain of life through a lens. I grew up in a tight-knit, working-class family in a modest bungalow on the west side of town, near the French Broad River, where the sound of water rushing over rocks was a constant in my childhood. My days back then were spent exploring the trails of the Biltmore Estate grounds with friends, snapping photos with a cheap point-and-shoot, and dreaming of a future bigger than the small-town life I knew. The emotional conflict at the heart of this story isn't just about a ruined graduation. It's the soul-crushing clash between my love for my sister, Mia, and the searing betrayal I felt when she let her jealousy poison a day that was supposed to be mine. Mia, who's 27 now, was always the golden child in our family, 3 years older, a straight-A student, and the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes, even though she had a sharp edge that only I seemed to notice. She's a paralegal now, living in Charlotte, but back then, she was my protector, my confidant, the one who'd sneak me candy when mom wasn't looking or cover for me when I stayed out past curfew. The conflict erupted when, at 18, on the day of my high school graduation in June 2017, she deliberately sabotaged my moment in the spotlight, driven by a resentment I didn't even see coming, leaving me torn between the sister I adored and the anger that threatened to consume me over what she'd done. The unexpected twist in this mess came later, when I learned that Mia's jealousy wasn't just about my graduation. It was rooted in a deeper pain, a secret she'd been carrying for years about feeling overshadowed by my potential in our parents' eyes, a revelation that flipped my anger into a complicated mix of guilt and lingering hurt. This story unfolds in Asheville during the humid, hopeful spring and summer of 2017, with the town's blooming dogwoods and bustling downtown as the backdrop to my unraveling family drama. Every memory, every emotion, is tied to the sights and sounds of this place. The creak of our old porch swing, the chatter of tourists on Pack Square, the distant hum of the Blue Ridge Parkway, as I try to make sense of it all. Memories of my life with Mia flood back to me as I sit in my apartment now, the soft glow of string lights casting shadows on my walls, the distant strum of a busker's guitar drifting through my open window, each recollection a mix of warmth and pain as I try to understand how we got here. I think back to when we were kids, maybe 8 and 11, building forts out of couch cushions in our living room, giggling as we planned secret missions to steal cookies from the kitchen, promising we'd always be a team. I remember middle school, when she'd help me with math homework at our rickety dining table, her patience a lifeline when I struggled, even if she'd tease me mercilessly afterward. I can still feel the comfort of those late-night talks on our porch after Dad lost his job at the mill, her arm around my shoulder as we stared at the stars over Asheville, whispering about how we'd make it through together. Now, flipping through old photos on my laptop, faded shots of us at the Asheville River Arts District, laughing with paint on our hands. I wonder how that closeness could turn so toxic, and why I didn't see the cracks forming. The unraveling of my big day started in the weeks leading up to my graduation on June 10, 2017, a time when Asheville was alive with the buzz of spring festivals and the promise of summer, but an undercurrent of tension was brewing at home that I was too excited to fully notice. I'd worked my butt off through high school at Asheville High, juggling part-time shifts at a local coffee shop, grinding through AP classes, and pouring my heart into photography projects for the yearbook, all to earn a scholarship to UNC Wilmington for their arts program, a dream I'd barely dared to voice. Graduation wasn't just a ceremony to me. It was proof I'd made it, a chance to stand tall in front of my family, especially Mia, who'd always been the successful one. I spent hours planning every detail, picking out a navy suit from a thrift store on Haywood Road, practicing my walk across the stage in our backyard, even saving up to buy Mom a corsage from the farmer's market as a thank you for her support. But Mia, who'd come home from college for the occasion, started acting off, snapping at me over small things, rolling her eyes when I talked about my scholarship, her usual warmth replaced by a coldness I couldn't place, leaving a knot in my stomach I tried to ignore. The day of the graduation itself started with a golden sunrise over the Blue Ridge, the kind of morning in Asheville that makes you feel like anything's possible, but it quickly spiraled into a nightmare I couldn't have predicted. I woke up buzzing with nerves and excitement, the smell of Mom's pancakes filling our house as I ironed my gown in the cramped laundry room, picturing the crowd at the Kimmel Arena where the ceremony was being held. Mia was supposed to drive me there early for photos with my friends, a small tradition I'd been hyped about, but she showed up late, claiming she overslept, her tone flat, no apology in sight. I brushed it off, too jittery to dwell on it, but the real blow came during the ceremony itself. I'd asked Mia to hold onto my camera, a beat-up Canon I'd saved for years to buy, because I wanted her to snap a shot of me getting my diploma, a memory I could frame. Instead, right as my name was called, I glanced into the stands and saw her scrolling on her phone, not even looking up, the camera untouched on her lap, a deliberate snub that hit me like a punch as I forced a smile for the crowd. My heart sank, the cheers around me muffled by the sting of her indifference, and I stumbled through the rest of the day in a haze. Asheville's celebratory vibe a cruel contrast to the betrayal brewing inside me. The aftermath of that moment was a slow burn of hurt and confusion as I tried to piece together why Mia would do this to me, the humid Asheville summer air thick with my unspoken questions. Back at home after the ceremony, while friends and family gathered for a small backyard party under string lights near our old oak tree, Mia doubled down. She accidentally spilled soda on the scrapbook I'd made of high school memories, a project I'd spent months on, ruining pages of photos and notes, then shrugged it off with a half-hearted oops before walking away. I stood there, sticky soda dripping onto the grass, my chest tight with rage, unable to confront her in front of everyone, but feeling the weight of her jealousy like a physical thing. That night, alone in my room with the distant sound of crickets outside, I replayed every interaction, wondering if I'd missed signs of her resentment, if my excitement over the scholarship had somehow pushed her away, or if this was just who she'd become, someone who couldn't stand to see me shine. Asheville's quiet streets, usually a comfort as I'd walk them with my camera, felt suffocating, every corner tied to memories of a sister I thought I knew. The emotional toll of Mia's actions carved a deep hollow in me, seeping into every part of my life that summer as I wrestled with the betrayal while trying to hold onto the joy of my achievement. I stopped joining friends for post-graduation hangouts at places like the Wedge Brewing Company, dodging their questions about why I seemed so off, ashamed to admit my own sister had soured the day I'd worked so hard for. I'd hike alone up to Craggy Pinnacle, a favorite spot with sweeping views of the Blue Ridge, sitting on the rocky edge, staring at the rolling hills, wondering if I was overreacting or if Mia's behavior was a sign of something broken between us I couldn't fix. Nights were brutal. I'd lie awake in my childhood bedroom, the hum of a fan mixing with my frustration, replaying that moment in the arena when she ignored me, hating how her apathy had tainted a memory I'd wanted to cherish. I started pulling away from family gatherings, skipping Sunday dinners at home, unable to face Mia's fake smiles across the table, feeling like I'd lost not just a day, but the sister I'd idolized. The unexpected twist came a few months later, in late August 2017, on a sticky evening in Asheville when I finally uncovered the real reason behind Mia's sabotage, a truth that shifted my anger into a tangled mess of empathy and lingering pain. I'd started at UNC Wilmington by then, but I was home for a long weekend, helping Mom sort through old boxes in our attic, the smell of dust and mildew sharp in the air, when I stumbled across a stack of Mia's old journals from high school. I shouldn't have read them, I know, but curiosity got the better of me, and what I found floored me. Page after page of her writing about feeling invisible next to me, how Mom and Dad always talked up my artistic talent and bright future, even when I was just a kid, while her hard work as the responsible one went unnoticed. She wrote about how my graduation and scholarship felt like the final proof that I'd won in our parents' eyes, a pain she'd buried until it exploded that day. Standing there, surrounded by cobwebs and faded memories, the humid air pressing in, I felt a storm of emotions. Guilt for unknowingly contributing to her hurt, anger that she'd taken it out on me instead of talking, and a deep sadness that we'd both been carrying silent burdens for so long. Determined not to let Mia's actions define my graduation forever, I decided to reclaim the moment in my own way, turning the pain into something unforgettable, even as I navigated the complicated truth about her jealousy. Back at college, I threw myself into a personal photography project, a visual story of my high school journey, shot over fall break when I returned to Asheville, capturing places that meant something to me. The graffiti-covered walls near the River Arts District where I'd honed my craft, the bleachers at Asheville High where I'd cheered at games, even the spot by the French Broad where I'd cried after Mia's betrayal. I spent hours editing the photos in my dorm, the glow of my laptop a quiet companion, weaving in journal entries about resilience and family, turning the project into a gallery submission for a student showcase. When it got accepted, I invited my family to the opening in Wilmington that November, a nervous knot in my gut as I stood by my display, the crisp coastal air a contrast to Asheville's mountain chill, wondering if Mia would even show, or if she'd see this as another win for me. Reflecting on my past with Mia became a near-daily ritual as I tried to untangle my feelings, especially on long walks along Wrightsville Beach near campus, the crash of waves mirroring the turmoil in my heart. I'd think about the time we'd biked to the Biltmore estate as teens, sneaking onto the grounds to take silly photos by the grand house, her laughter a sound I'd taken for granted, now shadowed by the memory of her coldness at graduation. I remembered the nights she'd drive me to late-night diner runs at the Copper Penny on Patton Avenue after tough days, splitting milkshakes, her advice on crushes and bullies a lifeline, now tainted by the question of when her resentment started growing. I'd sit on the sand, watching gulls wheel overhead, wondering if I'd been blind to her struggles, too wrapped up in my own dreams, or if she'd hidden her pain so well that no one could have seen it. Asheville's memories, the smell of rain on hot pavement, the buzz of the drum circle at Pritchard Park, felt like a double-edged sword, a reminder of a bond one cherished and a betrayal I couldn't forget. As the months turned into years, from 2017 to now, I built a cautious distance with Mia, though the unresolved tension lingered like the fog that often cloaks Asheville's mountains. We started texting sporadically after the gallery show. She did come, and even complimented my work, though her words felt stiff, like she was forcing them out. I'd visit home for holidays, meeting her at neutral spots like the Grove Arcade for coffee, our conversations light, avoiding the heavy stuff, but I could feel the weight of that journal confession between us, unspoken. I kept pouring myself into photography, freelancing now, taking gigs for local Asheville businesses when I'm in town, using my lens to process emotions I couldn't voice, but every family photo I'd shoot, smiling siblings at weddings, stung with the reminder of what Mia and I had lost. Late at night, editing shots in my apartment with the hum of the city outside, I wondered if I'd ever confront her about what I read, or if silence was safer, preserving a fragile peace while leaving wounds unhealed. The grind of moving forward while carrying this family baggage felt like hiking Asheville's steepest trails, each step forward shadowed by a past I couldn't fully escape. I'd run into old high school friends at events like the Leaf Festival, their casual, "How's Mia?" questions a minefield, forcing me to smile through half-truths while inside I burned with uncertainty over whether we'd ever be close again. I started avoiding long family gatherings at home, opting for quick visits, unable to sit through hours of small talk with Mia across the table, wondering if she still harbored that jealousy or if she'd moved on in ways I hadn't. I even considered therapy once, sitting in a coffee shop on Biltmore Avenue, Googling counselors on my phone, but backed out, unsure if I was ready to unpack it all, or if I feared what I'd discover about my own role in our rift. Driving the Blue Ridge Parkway alone, the curves of the road a quiet escape, I wrestled with whether I'd let her actions steal too much from me, or if I'd reclaimed enough by making my graduation memory my own through that project. The weight of judgment, both my own and the silent tension with Mia, didn't fade easily, even as I pushed forward with my life. Each memory of our shared past a reminder of how fragile family can be. I'd spend hours in my apartment, sorting through old negatives from high school, finding shots of Mia and me at the Asheville Urban Trail, her arm slung around me, and feel a pang of longing for that ease, now replaced by a guarded politeness when we meet. I started second-guessing my decision to read her journal, wondering if that knowledge had poisoned my view of her more than her actions had, or if it was the key to understanding a pain I'd never noticed. I'd walk through downtown Asheville on visits home, past buskers and art galleries, feeling like a tourist in my own history, asking myself if I'd been too quick to pull away, or if distance was the only way to protect myself from more hurt. The town's charm, the glow of holiday lights on Wall Street, the smell of fresh bread from bakeries, felt like a mockery of my inner struggle, a reminder that healing wasn't as simple as a gallery show or a few awkward texts. By early 2023, I'd carved out a life I was proud of, with my photography gaining traction, local exhibits, a small online following, even a feature in an Asheville magazine. But the emotional cost of Mia's betrayal lingered like a shadow over every success. I'd made my graduation unforgettable through that project, turning a ruined day into a story of resilience. Displaying those photos at more showcases, each one a quiet middle finger to the pain she'd caused, but also a tribute to the grit I'd found in myself. Yet, every time I'd see a notification from Mia, a rare congrats on Instagram, a holiday text, I'd feel that old mix of anger and longing, wondering if we'd ever talk about what happened, or if we were doomed to this surface-level connection. I started visiting home more often, drawn by Mom's gentle nudges to work things out, but each trip to Asheville, walking past our old haunts like the Orange Peel, where we'd seen concerts, felt like stepping into a minefield of memories, unsure if I wanted reconciliation or just closure. Reflecting on the journey to reclaim my graduation, I spent a lot of time wandering Asheville's quieter spots, like the North Carolina Arboretum, the winding paths a somber mirror to my mood as I thought about what I'd gained and lost. I'd remember the early days of planning for graduation, sitting in my room with college brochures spread out, dreaming of a future while Mia blasted music downstairs, a sibling bond one thought was unbreakable, now tainted by the memory of her indifference that day. I thought about Mom and Dad's proud faces at the ceremony, oblivious to Mia's snub, their joy a stark contrast to the ache in my chest as I crossed the stage, feeling her eyes not on me, but on her phone. I'd sit on benches by the river, sketching ideas for new photo series, wondering if I'd been too hard on Mia after learning her side, or if my hurt was a necessary shield against a betrayal that cut too deep. Asheville's renewal, spring blooms along the river walk, the buzz of new art openings, felt like a challenge to my stagnation with her, a reminder that moving on wasn't just about